Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order the Pasco County Board of County Commission meeting of August 6th. I would like to remind everyone, please silence all electronic devices. At this time, I would like everyone to rise for invocation and the pledge.
O merciful Creator, your hand is open wide to satisfy the needs of every living creature. Make us thankful for your loving providence, and grant that we, remembering the account that we must one day give, may be faithful stewards of your good gifts. Amen.
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 Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, roll call.
District 2, Commissioner Moore.
Here.
District 3, Commissioner Starkey. Here. District 4, Commissioner Wells.
Here.
District 5, Commissioner Mariano.
Here.
District 1, Chairman Oakley.
Here. All right, now is the time for public comment. Citizens are given an opportunity to comment on items coming before the board during this public comment section. The board also takes public comment on items placed on a future board agenda and other business under their review. Public comment for public hearing items will be taken at 1:30 this afternoon. Individuals speaking during public comment will be given 3 minutes to speak. After stating your name and address for the clerk, the timer located on the podium will start a countdown. After 2 minutes, one beep will sound. The light on the podium will change from green to yellow, letting you know that you have 1 minute remaining. After the timer is up, 2 beeps will sound. The light will change from yellow to red, indicating that 3 minutes are up and you should close your statements. The following people have signed up.
Okay. Do you want me to read the whole list, or just a couple?
Just first 2 or 3 let them line up.
All right, the first 3 individuals signed up is Foster Baksh MIT, followed by Tim Lemke, followed by Mike Lemke. If you could line up in front of the podium, please. And I'm sorry if I mispronounce any of your names.
Please state your name for the clerk and address.
My name's Foster Bachschmidt. I'm the Vice President, Chief Operating Officer of DAB Constructors Incorporated. My address is P.O. Box 1589 in Inglis, Florida, 34449.
You can lift that mic up.
Okay.
So can we go ahead and begin speaking? So I'm here to discuss 3 contracts you've got slated for renewal to Ajax Paving Industries. I'm here on behalf of 300 employees that I have that live and reside in Pasco County and 800 employees that work in Pasco County every day. The contract that you currently have has cost the taxpayers over $1 million over our low bid. It was an error. It was an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract that has over 200 pay items. You've used less than 10% of those 200 pay items, and you've cost the taxpayer over $1 million. You can, and I understand there are several roads that you've made commitments that need to be paved immediately. You can piggyback on another Citrus County contract that is much lower in asphalt pricing than the Ajax contract you're trying to renew today. These items are on the consent agenda. I don't know how they've been considered by the board, but this is a tremendous waste of taxpayer dollars, and we can go to work tomorrow to pave these roads and save you over $1 million for your taxpayers. For the board to vote on this, I think is a detriment to every taxpayer in Pasco County.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for the record, Mr. Tim Lemke.
Tim Lemke, 61 Dewar Path. I'm here to ask the question of how can we be stewards of the taxpayers' dollars by signing these contracts and forwarding things on. The taxpayers are assessed based on the work that's done in front of their homes, and there's a cost savings by not awarding this contract to Ajax Paving. That's all I have.
We don't answer questions during public comment. Those questions will be directed to our staff at a later time. Be glad to answer that. Thank you. Name and address for the clerk.
Thank
Mike Lemke, 3190 North Barton Creek Circle. I'm currently a resident up in Citrus County looking to move down to Pasco County. I'm concerned, though, with the move, with the way you guys are handling the Ajax contract. I don't want to, put my dollars into your tax revenue and see that it's misspent. I would like you guys to reassess the situation, if possible, and look at other ways that that money can be spent. $1 million, and I think it's upwards of $1 million, could really be put into a lot of other things than another company's pocket. I really request that you guys look at that and assess the situation. Much appreciated for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Okay, the next three signed up are Carol Janky, Joan, and it's hard for me to read the last name, is it Hanson on Abbey Drive, and Kelly Miller.
Name and address for the clerk.
My name is Carol Janky. I live at 1.
Pull the mic down to your, pull the mic down.
Okay. Can
Thank
you hear
you.
me now? Can go. My name is Carol Janky. I live at 12540 Abbey Drive, Dade City. I have support of my 2 neighbors here. I live in College Heights subdivision, State Road 52 and Highway 579 North for 42 years. It was platted January 10th, 1967, county maintained road. The road has never been resurfaced. After 50 years, the road base is deteriorating, lumpy patches make it unsafe to walk day or night. The paving assessment program, Abbey Drive, number 981, petition date 8/2/2017, failed. I was told to file another petition, but it is redundant because the neighborhood has not changed. The neighborhood is old and cannot afford the assessment. There are 15 single women, widowed, divorced, retired households, 2 one-parent households with children, 3 elderly households with sick people, 1 disabled adult individual with an elderly mother, 8 single men, status unknown except for a sheriff, deputy, and a firefighter. This is an aging in-place neighborhood for the most part. People are not going to sign a document for 10 years with the possibility of a tax certificate being sold for road repairs they can't afford. We are surrounded by probably close to 900 new properties. County collected transportation impact fees on Lake Javita, East Point, St. Joe Road, Sweetwater Apartments, Timber Run, Janky Drive, 3 new houses on Roth Lane permitted between the apex of State Road 52 and County 579, a connector road, deplorable condition. I'm asking under hardship that most of the people cannot afford to pave Abbey Drive, have lived there for years, unwilling to assume the road debt. Therefore, if you cannot use the gas tax, penny for Pasco, or federal excise tax, I'm asking you that you put the project under the SHIP program, which has 0 interest loans, not the 3.5% you are charging annually. Move the project forward in a public hearing under failing road conditions, or the federal grants Pasco County Community Development Neighborhood Revitalization. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Good morning.
Good morning.
Name and address for the clerk.
I am Jon Hamm at 12562 Abbey Drive in Dade City. I have lived in my house for 46 years, have been calling the county since 2007 about the holes in our street. The county comes with that big truck and 3 or 4 men pitch a little black stuff out in the holes, which is gone in 2 days or less. When we purchased our house, we were told that Abbey Drive is a county-maintained street. For the 46 years I have lived there, it has not been maintained. It is in bad condition now. We need some help. So we're here today hoping to get some help with our street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Oakley and board members. Kelly Miller, 5020 McCaslin Drive, Newport Richey 34652. I stand before you today to give my opinion on a very important community and county changing issue. Today's agenda item R2. Though the proposed ordinance is drafted extremely well and needs to be acted upon quickly as possible, it is still lacking some vital information that can help Pasco achieve its goal of becoming the premier county in the Tampa Bay region as quickly as possible. For many years, the Colonial Hills Civic Association, as well as community groups as Project New Hope and the Council of Neighborhood Associations, have all been working with the Pasco Sheriff's Office, county staff, and Commissioner Starkey to help eliminate nuisance homes and landlords who do not follow the proper land development codes. I believe that if you were to consider an immediate August workshop on this topic, you could easily brainstorm cutting-edge ideas that would allow Pasco to become the state leader in blight elimination and neighborhood improvements. I read the suggestions included in the agenda memo, and I would like to comment further in brief. Should the registry require inspection? Should the owner obtain a certification that the structure meets the minimum standards? Should the registration process require inspection and minimal standards? In my opinion, I think this requires too many staff. However, the owner should be able to prove that the structure meets code and minimum standards if that comes into question. Owners to provide garbage service or contract garbage service. In my opinion, the answer is absolutely yes. This is part of the blight in Pasco. Some renters do not have garbage pickup, so there is a lot of illegal dumping. Should the owner be responsible or the occupant be responsible for lawn maintenance or pool maintenance? Absolutely. Someone has to be responsible for these things. Should there be a fee for the registration? In my opinion, no. There shouldn't be a fee. There should only be a fine if you don't register in time. I think that if there are fees for violations or trespassing agreements, I believe that the landlords who are operating a good tenant business will have no problems complying to the Land Development Code. I think a fee for violations should be enforced after 2 or more occurrences at the given address. As you are well aware, there are many factors that go into the upkeep of properties, and someone has to be responsible for that action. Please consider having an immediate August workshop to discuss these and many other important points that could quickly bring great value, safety, and quality of life to our housing stock and to our communities. And as always, I'd like to thank you for your dedication and service to our county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next 3 that signed up, and these are the final 3 that actually signed, is Dominic Cannavino, Alan Rose, and Tom Donald.
Name and address for the clerk.
Good morning. My name is Dominic Cannavino. I reside at 6040 Riviera Lane, Newport Richey 34655. Mr. Chairman, distinguished commissioners, thank you for allowing me to discuss this very important issue on R2 in the agenda item. I represent the Council of Neighborhood Associations, and I'm the president thereof, which represents 156 community associations in the West Pasco area of Pasco County. Many of these areas, unfortunately, have aged over the years and in many cases have been abandoned. You all are charged with enforcing code restrictions. I, too, on behalf of the Chief Executive Officers of management companies who manage community associations and common interest-owned communities, are charged with similar responsibilities. These are most important because as these homes are abandoned or let go without any authority or representation in code enforcement, it just creates a diminished community. We cannot have diminished communities in Pasco County. And I urge you to please quickly request a workshop to handle this particular amendment to the code. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Name and address for the clerk.
Yes, good morning. My name is Alan Rose, 10221 Hilltop Drive, Newport Richey, Florida. I have, for public
Name?
record, Alan Rose.
Okay.
My name?
Do you have something to,
Yes, for the public record, forms.
Motion received. Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. You may hand it over to the clerk. Here. Thank you.
Well, I didn't mean to come this early on. I was expecting to hit Newport Richey, but the time frame that comes up with this, I wanted to bring it to you earlier. Attached, you're going to see there's an application for federal grants. I just wanted you to see how basically simple these applications are for these funds that I bring to you. Today, it's $129 million available that we can apply for. We're not going to get $129 million, but if we get 10%, $12 million, that make a dent in what we need to do. There's a list, that list that you get is a list of the federal grants that are available right now. These grants start expiring, our application by the end of August. That's why I'm here today versus waiting a couple more weeks. If you can just fill out the 3-page form and attach the master plan that I've submitted before, it should open doors to funding. And then we can, if you decide we want to proceed with improving our coastline and protecting our coastline from our hurricanes and whatever, and different natural disasters that come our way, it would help tremendously. But I wanted to bring this to you. So we have a need for action is because of the time frame. The others, we can get up to $250 million available under the Coastal Barrier Resource Act, but that's going to take a longer process, and we can get to that. But this is what we can apply for and start getting some funding coming to our county for our coastline. And our coastline is needing some help. And that's it. I've been working with the county people. There have been a lot of real good people that I've met with, a lot of solid knowledge. They know what we need to do. It's just a matter of getting it done and saying, yes, let's do this. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Name and address for clerk.
Good morning. My name is Tom Donald. I'm at 9021 Wire Road in Zephyr Hills. I'm here representing Asphalt Paving Systems, a locally owned and operated paving company in Pasco County. I'm also the resident of Pasco County. I live over in the Quail Hollow area, and I'm here to address your agenda for the Public Works infrastructure, C1, C2, C3, the contracts for the paving. You guys have them on there to extend them again for 1 year. I think the commission really needs to do some investigating on the pricing of your neighboring counties and what you're paying for some of these same services. I would think you would see you're paying a lot more than your neighboring counties. I think a little research would go a long way, and I'm asking that these contracts be rebid. Take a look at that and rebid these contracts, and I think you'll get a lot better pricing going forward. The woman that was here talking about her roadways, addressing the costs and concerns and trying to come up with a way to get her roadways redone, because the impact of these prices are having on the households in front of their properties is tremendous. So I think if you look at what's happening in some of the neighboring counties and the pricing these people have and the techniques and what they're employing to save money, I think Pasco would benefit tremendously. And so would the taxpayers, which I'm one of. I mean, Quail Hollow, for instance, where I live, the roadways over there are just horrendous. And the people, basically can't afford to rehabilitate those. So I'm asking for the board to take a look at that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is a public comment period. Is there anyone else that did not sign up, willing or coming forward to speak public comment at this time? Seeing no one, we'll end the public comment time, and we'll move on to our resolutions. And I think on Resolution 1, we have a special guest. I don't know if anybody noticed him in the audience.
I think he got hot and had to get out for a minute.
Oh. There he comes. Needless to say, we have Smokey the Bear with us today. Welcome.
Okay.
Do you speak or growl or?
No, he scares people when he speaks.
Okay. All right.
So-
Have you not seen the reading of the resolution?
Okay, yes. Happy birthday, Smokey Bear. A resolution number 19219, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, recognizing that on August 9th, 2019, Smokey Bear turned 75, and acknowledging the significant contributions to wildfire prevention made by the Florida Forest Service and Smokey Bear in Pasco County. Whereas the Smokey Bear Wildfire Prevention Campaign is the longest-running public service advertising campaign in U.S. history. It was started in 1944. Ann Raz, a badly burned bear cub, was rescued from a wildfire in the Capitan Mountains of New Mexico in 1950. After treating his burns, this bear cub was taken to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., where he became a living symbol of Smokey Bear. Ann Raz Smokey Bear has been dedicated to educating Americans of all ages, and particularly America's youth, the future guardians of our wildlands, about wildfire prevention. Ann Raz Florida Forest Services with Lacucci Forest Center staff responded to more than 409 wildfires, totaling 9,342 acres burned since 2009 in Pasco County. And whereas when the Florida Forest Service is not actively engaged in fighting wildfires, they are conducting prescribed burns, moving and chopping vegetative fuels in high wildfire risk areas and reducing the threat of catastrophic wildfires. Since 2013 in Pasco County, 1,384 acres were mitigated, protecting 922 homes, which could have resulted in a loss of over $141 million. And whereas the forestry professionals of our state are irreplaceable, and we are grateful for all of their hard work and dedication. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby recognizes that on August 9th, 2019, Smokey Bear turned 75 and acknowledges the significant contributions to wildfire prevention made by the Florida Forest Service and Smokey Bear in Pasco County. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting the 6th day of August 2019.
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome. Happy birthday. I'm glad you showed up because that makes me not the oldest person here today. My birthday was a week ago. But
He
both
does-
of us are Leos, so I'll let you go.
Yeah, he does still get around pretty good for 75, but he much more prefers like November to February than August anymore. So it's a lot better for him. But on behalf of the Florida Forest Service and the Pasco Forest area, we thank y'all greatly for all of your hospitality and having us today and allowing us to bring him in. And he's got a lot of plans in the next couple of days, so he'll be all over gallivanting around town.
that'd
So
be
if y'all
great.
see him out, feel free to come on up. Bring the kids. He loves pictures. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Let's all go down. Let's all go down that. Glad you're here. So happy birthday. We're talking about it. Get 75 and have a. Me too, Tim, I love it. All right. Good deal.
Hold that for you.
Thank you. Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you all very much.
Now we have Resolution 2.
Can Eileen Fiskus please approach the podium? Did I pronounce your name correctly? Okay, good. Resolution number 19-220, a resolution by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, commending Eileen Fiskus for 33 years of dedicated service to Pasco County and congratulating her on her retirement. Whereas Eileen Fiskus is a retired veteran that served in the U.S. Army from April 1978 to April 1982 in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and in West Germany, where she and her husband became welcomed, sorry about that, their first daughter. And whereas, after completing her 4 years of active duty, Ms. Fiskus lived at Fort Hood, Texas, while her husband continued his military service until they moved to Pasco County in 1985. And whereas, Ms. Fiskus began her career with Pasco County on June 16, 1986, when she was hired as a senior accounting clerk for the Social Services Division, now called Human Services. And whereas, Ms. Fiskus became a social worker, now titled case manager, for her division and has continued to serve in that role ever since. And whereas, Ms. Fiskus assisted with the creation of the early social services mainframe program in 1989 and was instrumental in obtaining the FamCare program that is used today. And whereas while working for the county, she also earned her associate's degree in business from Pasco Hernando Community College in 1996. And whereas with her many years of experience, she has served as a valuable source of institutional knowledge for her team and will be greatly missed by all. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of Pasco County, Florida, that said board hereby wishes to extend their gratitude and recognition to Eileen Fiskus for 33 years of dedicated service to Pasco County and congratulates her on her retirement. Done and resolved in regular session with a quorum present and voting the 6th day of August 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank you.
You're going to stay on for a long time?
Don't speak too
You're going
much.
to speak to us today?
Thank you.
You can. How have you enjoyed your employment here with Pasco County?
It's been wonderful. It's been a real change in the last 33 years, but it's been really great. The only way I can really tell that it's been 33 years is when I look at my daughters. My daughter there in pink was only a 6-month-old baby when I started working for the county. And my daughter, my youngest daughter that wasn't able to be here, was a year from being born when I started working for the county.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Great.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank
We
you
really
very much.
appreciate everything you've done for the Pasco County. So, let's go down and take a picture. Everybody join?
Congratulations. Enjoy your retirement. Are you really going to retire?
I gave myself a 2-week vacation. I have to get back to work.
All right.
Tell your sister to come over here. Come on this side. Stand on this side. I always like to be in the back, I know, right? Very much.
Next order of business is the consent agenda. Where's my sheet? There's my sheet. I have following items have been pulled or withdrawn. C-52, pull and revise. C-33, withdrawn. C-78, withdrawn. C-54, pull and revise. C-21, pull and revise. C-75, pull and revise.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
could I add 3 items to that?
you can.
C61,
C61,
62, and 63, just for discussion.
for discussion. Okay. First, the C52.
Good morning, Stacy Ziegler, Purchasing Director. The agenda is correct, the outline is wrong on the total, so we just need to revise the amount for the outline.
Move approval as revised.
Second?
Got a motion second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did we take the other items?
Yeah, you didn't approve the whole.
We haven't
rest.
approved all the other items yet.
Move approval of the remainder of the consent agenda?
Second.
Got a motion second. On all the other items? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion passed. All right, next is C33.
That's withdrawn.
Oh, that's withdrawn, excuse me. C78 withdrawn. C54, full and revised.
Good morning, Margaret Smith,
Good
County
morning.
Engineer. C54, we found an accounting error and have made that correction and pass that on to you guys. And C75, if you don't mind me jumping ahead, again, we had a little correction to the bid, adding $100 for an indemnity fee, and that correction has been made and included in your revised documents.
So.
Move approval of C54 and C75 with the noted changes?
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Thank you. C21.
Good morning, Board. Andrew Baxter, Facilities Management Director. This pull and revise is to modify the date on the original lease initiation. With that one correction, Facilities recommends approval.
Move approval of the noted change?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passed. Thank you. All right, to pull C21, or 61 for discussion.
Yes, as a matter of fact, with all 3 of the
You
bids.
can discuss all three at the same?
All the same time, yeah. This is
Okay.
general
so
discussion.
C61, C62, and 63.
I think we were all concerned when we saw the first set of bids that came, not the first bids, but the first items that came through with the first paving project where we thought the numbers were high. Staff had said that's the way the bids came out, et cetera. Looking into it further, found out that staff had changed the way we did the bidding structure, and it did add a lot of different things that were in there. I will tell you, I've looked at a couple of things in my district that are projects coming up that they weren't as bad as 20, 30%, like we thought. They were close to like 5% to 10%. But staff is putting this back out for bid because we'd be in a short window of, we'd be kind of out of contract from October to January. So we're covering ourselves. When the new bids come out, I'm going to recommend we do a pre-bid meeting so that all these discussions can happen before the bids actually go out. And also, it'll give the chance for everyone, for the people that bid before, didn't win any bids this time, can actually look at the bids as well and have the discussion, and then we can rebid everything. And if we make out better, we'll be in better shape to take the new contract. If not, we're protecting ourselves by keeping the old contract. So I'm going to support C61, 62, 63, but just make a recommendation we do that pre-bid meeting as well.
Well, I have some questions.
Okay.
Can I get an understanding how this bid process worked?
Bramford Admiral, Public Works Director. Can you please repeat your question?
So how is it that one company is getting all the bids?
Well, we put out the bids for the 4 contracts, and Ajax came out to be the lowest responsible bidder. So that was how Ajax had all 4 contracts.
And how many people responded to the bid?
I believe there were 4 companies, if I'm not, I'm not sure exactly on the number.
4 original bidders.
These were awarded in March of 19. This is a renewal of, as you do with many of your contracts, you had a provision in the bid that said they could be extended for a year or multiple years. So this is not the selection. You've already selected Ajax, and the protest periods have gone for that. This is renewing an existing contract, which you do in many, many of your bids.
And so this price was what was, same price from before when they won the bid? There's no change in price?
No change.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question. So, Mr. Steinschneider obviously clarified, because I was just going to bring that up, because I understood where you were going with that. So if I have this correctly, AJAC was the low bidder when the initial bid came out. Now we have some people that are saying, that were in the audience, saying they would like it to be rebid. I don't know if everybody bid on that project the first time or not, but obviously AJAC was the low the first time around. And this is a one-year contract with a one-year renewal?
Yeah, for 3 years. So this
So it's
a 3-year contract. Each year we'll renew it. If
So it's a 3-year with
Yes.
every year we want the
renewal.
1-year renewal.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Not a 1 year with the option to renew.
So this is in the second year, or?
Yes, we'll say
Mr.
this
Steinschneider,
is
yeah,
the
I don't
second
think-
year
So
of renewal.
it's a maximum of three times that you can renew their contract, but you don't have to.
Correct.
So each
Yes.
year it comes back before you, and you can decide to either end it and go back out again, and so this is, they finished the first year, it's back to you.
So it's a
for-
1 year with an option to renew for 30
Right.
consecutive years.
Yes.
Or 2 more consecutive years, I should say.
Yes.
Correct.
Well, each year.
I see.
Next year you'll do the
Yes.
same
Okay.
thing.
And, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
And to be clear, the reason they're going to go out for the bid again is with the way this bid was structured, it was changed from years in past. They put a lot more things in there that some people say, and I agree, maybe had too many pipes in there and different things in there that threw the bid off. There's been talk about the different densities and other factors in it that are going to get relooked at again, that go back out for bid. We're protecting ourselves by honoring this bid, that we keep ourselves in line with keeping this contract. If we find out the new bids come out better, we can just go to the new bid and start using that one, once that's done. But that won't be till January.
Is that correct? Brad?
Yes.
Okay.
In January.
January.
So, okay.
All
So
right.
that's not long. Okay.
I made the motion to approve all three.
Second.
361,
I got a
62, and
motion
63.
Motion and a second to approve all three, C-61, 62, and 63. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed.
Okay.
So we're going to be reviewing this in January again.
That ends the consent agenda. And now we'll go to, I have a time certain on R1. So we move
Can't
to
go early.
R2.
R2 is an introduction of proposed ordinance amending Chapter 18 to the regulations requiring registration of certain information regarding vacant property and rental property. Christy Sims from my office will present.
Welcome.
Good morning, Commissioners. Christy Sims, Senior Assistant County Attorney, County Attorney's Office. First thing I would like to ask is that the clerk substitute the last page because I inadvertently misspelled the clerk's name. So, Commissioners, this is an introduction. The board has asked in the past for an option for, it's been called a rental registry, a vacant property registry, an at-risk property registry. I have drafted an initial draft that would require vacant properties and properties that are not lawfully occupied, as well as, I'll call them rental properties, that is, properties that are occupied by someone other than the owner. The idea is that we do a registry similar in nature to the foreclosure registry, which would require the property owners to register the property, either the proposed ordinance suggests registry with the sheriff. Our foreclosure registry is done through a vendor. And the idea behind it is to get a responsible local person who it can be contacted and will be responsive if there's a problem on the property, whether it's a code problem, whether it's an emergency, whether it's mowing, and also to working with the sheriff's office, we've also come up with sort of a synergy with the sheriff's office to allow people to educate them as to the availability and allow them to do what do you call the trespass agreements? I'm sorry. So if we did a registry, that's sort of an add-on that I've drafted into the current draft. As you heard from some of the public speakers this morning, the draft in front of the board does not include everything that some citizens and I think some board members would want included in the registry. Just to step back a moment and give you some perspective, the foreclosure registry not only gathers information, but it also imposes affirmative duties on the banks, for example. And what we need to figure out with respect to this rental vacant registry ordinance is to what extent, if any, will the owner of the property have obligations beyond merely registering and designating a local agent to receive notices and regarding the properties. I have put in the ordinance memo some of the suggestions or requests that I've heard either from various commissioners or from third parties such as realtors groups, et cetera, as well as civics groups. And we can talk about them individually. I did hear, I'm going to leave it at that because there's been a suggestion about doing a workshop. Or I can go through all of the options of things that are not included in the current draft. The current draft is really just an information gathering tool and a tool that allows the property owner to say, yes, I want to do a trespass agreement, and these are the only people that are allowed on my property, so the sheriff's office can act without having to try to get in touch with, for example, an out-of-state owner. It also, at the request of the Central Pasco Board of Realtors, I believe, they had expressed a request if there's a registry for them to be able to check a box, and if their tenant is, or the occupant is receiving violations or warnings, that they be alerted to that fact. So that's where we're at, and that's what I've drafted. As I said, there's been a number of people in different walks of life and different stakeholders that have asked for or suggested additional provisions to be added to the ordinance, but what you have in front of you is, it's pretty straightforward. It's an information gathering tool.
Ms. Starkey?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Alan Crumley couldn't be here this morning, but he is one of the owners of Berkshire Hathaway, who has a very large, successful management company that manages over 1,200 rentals in the Tampa Bay area. And he would like to address this ordinance, and he met with us in a meeting and to go over this. For me, information gathering is very vital. I think we need to know this information. But this does not go far enough to help neighborhoods and neighborhoods with the distressful situations they find themselves in. And I can give you an example of what's going on in my office. We recently have been receiving notices of many, many homes that have uncut lawns. And so just on the way over here, I was talking with the code enforcement office, and I think Micah is here somewhere. So what happens when you get someone who calls into the office a notice about uncut lawns is that it goes into a database, and we send code officers out to see if the lawn needs to be cut. Because our ordinance says you cannot have grass, I think higher than, is it 2 feet? Which is, I don't remember what, but I can tell you in my district we have a lot of problems with this. What Pauline told me was that she researched some of the dozens and dozens that just went into GovQA, and they're owned by a corporation. The corporation is out of state. So what is the process? The process is we have to send code out to check on all these homes. They have to give someone a notice. The notice has to go by certified letter, is that correct?
Yes, and in order for us to issue a citation successfully, we have to have certain personal information from that person. And if we can't get good service on them, then we can't do anything. Lawn mowing is a little bit different because then we just turn around and spend public funds to keep mowing these lawns.
Which is a $300 to $400 a house, never to be returned to us because we're at the bottom of the feeding barrel when if ever, we get that house gets sold and we get our money back. So basically, we become a really expensive lawn service and management company for people who are in the business of renting homes. So I just don't understand why we want the taxpayers of Pasco County to fund a management system for people who are in the business of renting homes. So I don't want to see any, I don't want to see a lot of, I don't know what the word is, a lot of issues, a lot of costs on good landlords. But if you're not a good landlord, why are we not coming up with a system that will hold them accountable for the costs incurred in having to deal with those issues? And that is what my citizens want. We talk about it all the time at the Harbor South Leadership Council. So I want to suggest that we don't pass this today. I think this is a good
It's just a
first
draft.
step.
We're not passing anything today.
Or that we don't, that this still needs some work, and that we move this to a workshop and discuss ways that we can better strengthen this to achieve the goals that we want. Because in this kind of system, the taxpayers are on the hook for everything.
Okay.
Also, we have a company, I don't remember their name, ProChamp? Who is it that runs our foreclosure?
ProChamps.
ProChamps. So there is already a mechanism that we use at the county, and I think it works very well. So I'd like to hear from them about how they deal with this and with their contracts. My understanding is they have rental registries all, I don't know how big they are, but they have many rental registry customers. And so, I think we should talk to them about how it works in other places and see if we can't do a better job of protecting our taxpayers and our constituents. So.
Cheers. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, sir. No, and I agree. We can workshop this. I know there were some suggestions about doing something in August. Well, that's.
September.
September.
That's not going to work either. So I'm into October, if we're doing a Tuesday workshop, just so you know. So I think our assistants will just have to get together and look at our calendars and see how we can fit it in. But I'm booked up until October on Tuesdays.
We already have an August workshop.
We already have a September
I won't be
workshop.
here.
Oh, you want to move that in?
I don't.
Well, we already have, I'm looking at there's already an agenda, is there not?
And I want to be here, and I won't be here at the August 26th.
Well, no, you need to be here if we're going to do a workshop.
Yeah.
There's one scheduled for the 24th of September.
That works for me.
24th of September.
Oh, wait a minute.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's well, yeah, if you want
That's
to
the-
integrate it,
that's
what
the
we're talking about
joint.
today, that's the joint workshop. So you're saying we're going
We
to
could do
pull this
this in
into
the
that?
morning, we could do county business in the morning. then
Oh, I'm
joint
fine with that.
After lunch.
Yeah.
Okay,
I just
that'll
thought that was a full agenda already.
That'll work.
You don't think so?
We can-
We can move it along.
We'll work on it.
All right, good.
We'll let you know.
That's fine then.
And I sent you some information from what the city of Memphis did, and they called theirs the Blight Elimination Charter, but they have a very interesting action plan with many items in here that I hope you'll take a look at. And so, yeah, thank you.
Mr. Wells? And Commissioner, I appreciate your input, and, you know, Chase can talk a little bit about it, but, you know, the whole reason this came before us is life safety issues. The grass, quite frankly, we can't do it now. I don't disagree with you. If I thought that we could manage it, there's over 100,000 non-homesteaded properties in Pasco County. We couldn't manage it. I don't disagree. Same thing with the garbage. And I think eventually we're probably going to get to, I don't want to call it franchising, but I think eventually as a board we'll get to deciding where everybody needs to have garbage because they should. So I don't disagree with you, but I look at the code now. We can enforce that code with code enforcement for the grass. I agree with you, but they can't even keep up with it now. How are we going to do it? Adding it to this ordinance. We could talk more about it. I'm fine with workshopping it. I just know time's of the essence. This is important to the sheriff's office. I can tell you, I have several examples from them, several examples from code, several examples from fire where they don't know who's there, who's supposed to be there. It's a life safety issue. That's really the key here. It's not grass or garbage. And again, I'm not saying we don't need to do more, because we do. But I think to put it on this, I don't know how we'd manage it. We can't even manage what we're doing now. Just
Well,
being honest, we have a great team. They
let's
bust
talk-
their butt every single day.
I
So-
don't want it to fall on the backs of the taxpayers. And that, with this kind of system, that's where we are. But let's.
But we could change our system.
Let's move it to September, and then we can go into
Well,
a
it
deeper
sounds
discussion.
like what we have here, the basics is a foundation that everybody agrees on, what's in there. And the things that need to be talked about are what should be added, whether it should be in-house or vendor, and what the cost would be.
Is the vendor free? We don't want the taxpayers to have to pay for that.
The vendor will not be free.
I'm just using charges.
Well,
I'm no finance whiz, but I'm pretty sure the vendor is not going to be free. But in the meantime, if there are additional proposals for inclusion in the ordinance, if somebody would let me know, then I can.
Is there a way we can get our money back if we do take care of these properties and charge the landlord or put it on?
Well, we do place a lien on the property. It's just that our lien is unsecured, and it doesn't have high priority as compared to a purchase money mortgage or any lien that's filed ahead of ours. So I don't know the numbers. We can find out before the workshop, certainly what our collection rate is on mowing liens.
Okay, find that out, that'd be good to know.
Yeah, I mean, if there's an
We
occupant
don't want
in,
our taxpayers don't need to be paying for.
right, if there's an occupant in the house, that's not an issue because we're serving the occupant for not mowing the lawn. The issue is vacant properties, abandoned properties, or, properties where we can, there's squatters, things like that. And certainly, I think that the framework that's established here, where we have responsible person, a local contact, where we can integrate the sheriff's trespass agreement where we can integrate the ability to send notice to an owner about what their occupants or what's going on the property that they may not be aware of, is a great foundation. I need some direction if there needs to be more elements to this ordinance.
If I could, and Commissioner Starkey, just keep in mind, we're taking this very seriously. I agree with you. I know I've spoken to Dewey, and it's more like 1,700 homes they manage, and they agree, but I don't know that they would agree with.
just sent me 12.
I don't know that they would agree with having to pay a fee, because they would have to pay a fee on every single one that we're managing.
Depends on how we set it up.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out there, but I just want to make it a point that we took the time to meet with both Board of Realtors, property manager companies, because we want to hear from the stakeholders, kind of like with Mr. Mitchell and Al and Mr. Crumley. We want to listen to them. So I think if we can take more time individually and meet with them, please include Chase in any conversations you have, and then we'll workshop it in September. How quick after the workshop can we get this?
It just needs one public hearing.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
I'm glad to hear we're doing the workshop, because I think out in the business industry, they're worried about what we're going to do here as well. I think we do have to do something. I think we're on the right track, so I think this forward discussion is going to be very positive, and I would encourage you to work real closely with the Board of Realtors to make sure that we get them on board, especially the people that have a lot of properties. We have trouble out there with the squatters and the drugs that are out there, these homes, so I mean, it does need to be addressed. The Sheriff's Department needs the backup to say, look, if they're getting in there, they need to be able to do something. If someone's causing trouble, you're not on the list, you're out of there. We got to give them that protection as well. So I think we're heading the right way, just a matter of make sure we get it right the first time.
And I remember when we had our first meeting with code enforcement and the sheriff's office, when the precursor to setting up the HRE, it was very eye-opening to me. It was just when I just got elected that to hear our code enforcement officers say when they go to knock on a door, they have no idea who lives there. Yep. And they have knocked on doors where there was someone living there that had a warrant for arrest for attempted murder. I mean, so I am all for arming everybody with more information about who they're actually dealing with. But I just think we can go a step further. And maybe you don't pay a fine, maybe you don't pay a registry fee unless you trigger code enforcement and the sheriff. So the good guys don't have to pay anything, but once you trigger a lot of costs on the county, then yeah, you're going to pay something. That's how I would like to see it at work, Christine. We can talk about that at the workshop.
Mr. Moore?
Workshop. No, we're going to workshop this. Let's not workshop it now. So let's, if we're going to workshop it, let's move on.
So basically, we're approving what you have here today, but we're going through a workshop before the ordinance.
Well, we're not
Thank you,
approving.
Christine.
Nothing to approve now.
Well,
Yeah, there's nothing to approve.
on my
Yeah.
paperwork.
So we do have, I
Okay.
do need to bring up something on Chrissy's behalf. I need to move an emergency for Chrissy since she's already here in reference to an update on the bin ordinance, if that's okay. So that's a motion. Can I
On
get
the
a
what
second?
ordinance?
The bin ordinance. She needs to
Oh,
talk
okay.
about that real quick.
Second.
Okay.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Commissioners, the high return enforcement team, at the request of Commissioner Moore specifically, had undertaken an enforcement push to deal with the donation bins. We have an ordinance in place that requires registry. No one had been complying with it. We had done one tweak before on it with respect to the timeline for permitting, approval, or denial. We mapped them all. We found out that a number of donation bins have been dropped off on people's properties without the property owner's consent or knowledge. We're working with the sheriff's office to bring felony dumping charges with respect to those cases. And we also have a number of, I'll call them legitimate donation bin companies that are going through the permitting process. We have run into a few questions regarding some, I think, minor aspects of the ordinance regarding the the number of sides that they're labeled on, the wording that we're requiring on the ordinance. I've been working with an attorney representing one of the larger companies that acts on behalf of American Cancer Society and things like that, to come to an agreement on additional tweaks to the language to the ordinance. I'm very happy with the red line that she's provided. I need to think through some other options. I would like to give county staff the discretion to do some alternative standards for when there are logistical reasons that a bin can't be secured to the ground, similar to what we would do with construction bins if, you know, they remove them within 24 hours notice if we expect high winds, things like that. So there are going to be proposed changes to the donation bin ordinance. Legally, while I think that our current ordinance is defensible, I think that these changes will make it bulletproof. So I'm going to suggest and advise that we make these ordinances from a legal perspective. What I would like the board to do is approve sending the legal changes agreed to by our office to the current ordinance to the LPA on September 5th and to public hearing before this board on September 18th and October 7th.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moore?
Thank you. So Chrissy detailed me on this. It makes sense. It's the right way to go. She's in favor of this, and I would just ask for the board's approval to move this forward. So that's a motion.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, like sign. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Now we move on to R3.
can we get that done in 15 minutes?
Can that R3 be done in 15 minutes?
Can you be done that?
Because I'm not ready for it.
All right, then. I think we were going to do a flip-flop.
We were going
R4 is
to
going to be presented now.
R4 first, because you have to take action on R4
I know
today. You do
that.
not have to take action on
My paperwork
R3.
says R3 is going to be heard before 4.
Yeah, I know.
This is a change from what I heard. So R4, come on.
Thank you and good morning. For the record, Marcy Esberg, Director of Community Development. And we've got some slides that are coming up. See, now we've ruined the order of everything. There we go. So our department is working to improve the lives of Pasco citizens through homeless initiatives, affordable housing, neighborhood revitalization, and community partnerships using state and federal funds. We do this in basically 2 ways. We do deliver programs right through our office where we're working individually with households, and we also collaborate with community partners to meet the needs of low and moderate income persons or areas. So today, I forgot, I'm doing this. So today we are looking to you for approval of our annual action plan. We're looking at 3 funding sources: the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG. We are receiving over $2.7 million for 2019-2020, and we have recommendations of projects in the areas of public services and development. This is a program where we have an annual competitive development application cycle, and the national objective for the Community Development Block Grant is to serve low and moderate income persons in the areas of decent housing, creating economic opportunities, and a suitable living environment. Next, we have the Home Investment Partnership, or HOME for short, where we're receiving over $1 million. Plus, we also get estimated program income coming in. So this bucket of money is used strictly for housing activities, and we did receive an annual application for that, but we will also look at applications ongoing through the year. And lastly, we are looking at the Emergency Solutions Grant, ESG, and that's just under $250,000 annually, and it's an annual application cycle. The eligible activities include street outreach, emergency shelter, rapid rehousing, homeless prevention, and the Homeless Management Information System, otherwise known as HMIS. So this is a great slide that really shows the framework that we're working with the federal government. These are funds that come from HUD. And as an entitlement community, we are one of 1,248 around the country. And it starts off with a process of public participation and consultation, needs assessment, and market analysis, which rolls up into what's called a 5-year consolidated plan. The board approved that plan last year, and a first-year action plan, and we are here in the second year of the action plan, so the third column, the second year of the action plan. And then every year, at the end of the year, we do a report, which is called the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. And we explain to HUD how we've spent those funds. And what I'd like to commit to you is that every year I will also come before you and share that information with you. And it will be a great opportunity for you not to just know what we've accomplished with these funds and the changes in our community, but also an opportunity for you to give feedback and input as we go to the next year, which will be the third year action plan. So refreshing your familiarity with our timeline, we did a grant kickoff in mid-April and had our applications due in mid-May. We assembled a review committee which involved 3 different branches of the county as well as citizens to review the applications that came in. And we began to publish the information and hearing information at the end of June. We were before you July 9th for a public hearing in which we presented our proposed projects, and we had a number of citizens and agencies that also came to talk. And we're back today to ask you to adopt the recommendations that are coming before you. And just as noted just previously, this plan does need to be submitted because of statute by August 16th.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moore?
Hey, thank you. Quick question. Last meeting, you presented to us some of the funds that were going to some of the cities.
Yes.
Again, can you detail us on that briefly again?
Yes, we have 3 municipalities that are part of the urban county, and they are Port Richey, St. Leo, and San Antonio. And you asked what they're using their money for. Right. Port Richey has been saving it up, and they did a sidewalk project.
Okay.
St. Leo is doing planning with it, and San Antonio was doing an ADA park compliance project.
Great, so I appreciate that. So Port Richey and San Antonio, obviously doing, sounds like some pretty good projects. I didn't know this funding could go to planning. So what are they planning for?
They're looking at their land development code and their community development planning.
I don't feel this is a sufficient way of spending this funds for a city to utilize these funds to look at their land development code. That should come out of their general fund. There's no way that I will approve them getting money for their planning to look at their land development code. It needs to go towards a project that benefits the citizens that it should benefit. That's my opinion. I don't know if there's any agreement there, but yeah.
What's the number on that?
It's not much, but it doesn't matter.
I think it's $2,500.
I don't care if it's $1.
What kind of
We're not funding people's general fund to help them with their land, planning for their land development code. That's what cities are there for. They need to fund their own.
Was that St. Louis?
Yeah, that's, if you can't handle it, get out of the kitchen.
Okay, Ms. Starkey?
I have a couple of questions, but do we approve, do we have a hammer in any way? Can we direct them what is, what they can spend it on?
Yes, we can, as long as it's an eligible activity.
Is planning an eligible activity?
It is an administrative activity. Yes, there's administration and planning as part of the community development block grant.
Can we, if it is an approvable expenditure, can we say we don't like that expenditure? I'm just.
Well, what we could do, so I'm not sure how far along we are for this year. We could certainly say, as we are doing with a number of things, saying expecting them next year to say, we'd like you to use your funds for an eligible activity, and if you don't have the money to match it, you could do like the other municipalities, you could save up a couple of years so that you could do it with an activity.
No.
How much is that money? With that?
I think it's $2,500, but let me look up.
How much?
$2,500.
And what did they do with the money last year?
Same thing.
So it's a continuously planning every year.
So we're giving to their general fund is what we're doing.
Yeah.
To help rewrite a land development code. That's not where this money should go. Do something to obviously
like it to
benefit the
help the
citizens
needy.
that it's supposed to benefit.
And, so then I have another question.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going to approve it. So, I mean, I don't know if everybody's on board with that.
Well, I have other questions in this before we go to approval. So I was going through it and I looked at the CDBG. I don't have numbered pages, but it says funding availability by grant. And the CDBG, I think you might have had it up there, is $2,754,000. And I see that the administration cost on that is 20%, where the home is 10%. So why is it double on the CDBG?
Regulation. That's how much the statute allows us to take.
Well, I know it allows you to take that much, but do we need to be at 20% for administration?
Well, yes, unless you want to fund our office through general funds.
So is this case officers or what's being covered in the 20%?
This is administering the programs, and again, our office is completely grant funded. There is no general fund that goes to that. So you have staff costs, you have copy machines, you have indirect costs, you have salaries, all of those things.
Just 20% is a lot, but.
There's 23 people in our department.
All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Moore?
One more time. Just going back to my comments a second ago, I think back to the CRA funds and how they're spent and how on multiple occasions this board has been frustrated how some of the municipalities have spent their CRA dollars. But we can't control that. So this is something we can control. It needs to be spent the correct way on projects that are going to benefit those it's supposed to benefit.
Chairman?
It goes back to
Mr.
building
Wells?
pools and stuff.
Okay. Mr. Wells?
Yeah, go ahead.
So it sounds like we've done this last year. Has it been done years past before that? And I guess my question is, it's matching funds, so they're matching the 2,500 out of their general fund for land development code planning, or no?
There is no matching
Okay, there is
fund
no match.
requirement to the community
Do we
development
know what
block
they're
grant.
doing? Are they looking at the land development code for affordable housing, something to do with what the fund is and the intention is? I'm just kind of curious. Or is it just in general, the land development code? I guess if it was something that was in your purview, it'd be a little bit different for me to approve or not approve. That would be kind of, I would like to know that. I don't, did they say specifically?
I don't have that information.
Mr. Mariano?
Mr. Chairman, I agree with Commissioner Moore 100%. As far as planning goes, it shouldn't be in there. But let me ask a question. With this plan as we approve it today, would they allow us to change things down the road if we wanted to change something? Let's say some circumstances changed or opportunities came up that we thought something was better to what we approved today. Do we have the flexibility to change this later on?
So you have with HUD always the opportunity to do amendments to the action plan. However, as we go through the presentation, you see that, well, can I get to that point and answer that as well?
Well,
Because I want to explain that part of today is not just approving the projects, but also approving a delegation of authority to the county administrator, so that the projects that are in here are being approved as well as funded, and the county administrator and the county attorney's office will approve the templates that you have in there and execute them. So while we could always do an amendment to any action plan, there is a certain level of certainty that's coming in to this plan this year by approving the projects and the templates, so that the CDBG and ESG projects can be approved and contracts could go out for them.
so as long as the contract has been written on a certain project, we could have flexibility to change it if we chose to and do an amendment.
Well, right in your packet are those contract templates.
If we approve this today, when's that money?
10-1,
10/1?
correct.
Fiscal year. Okay.
So, just let me, I can go further. I'll
Well,
come
Mr.
back.
Chairman, so I think there's going to be quite a bit of discussion throughout this process. We have a time certain, 11:15.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask.
We can come back.
Let's come back to this after the time certain if we can, because I think there's going to be more discussion than we thought.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Everybody good with
We'll do
that? All right, thank you.
All right, let's go to R1 at this time.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Give me 1 second. Keith, I'll bring,
I believe you're in charge of that, right?
I know, thanks. I'm going to lead in a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and bring you up, but, so thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, too. We have quite a few guests in the audience today. If everyone wants to raise their hand and say hi, you can do that. There you go. So thanks for being here. So, definitely today's another great day, for Pasco County. This morning, Commissioners, you approved C-92, which was a budget amendment for $215,000 for a universal playground at Wesley Chapel District Park. And definitely thank each and every one of you for supporting that. Over the last couple years, as many of you do on a consistent basis, we research and do our due diligence on things that can be betterment for our community, and obviously our parks too. So I spent quite a bit of time at Wesley Chapel District Park over the years, for example. Coaching sports.
In my park.
I
Been there, done that.
kind of inherited that a little bit, but
And I appreciate all the work you put in there.
Oh,
so
thanks.
that's good.
So spent a lot of time out there, sometimes 5 or 6 days a week, and coaching and volunteering on some committees. And one of the things I saw out there on a consistent basis was a void. And I say a void because a place that all children could gather and play together. So I started doing some research and looking at places across the nation, and came up with what Keith was going to call a universal playground, but I think originally we were saying an inclusive playground. And there's quite a few places around the country that have these. And basically what they do, it's a place where kids have the opportunity to participate and not have to sit on the sidelines, no matter what their ability is, no matter if they're, I'll just leave it at that, no matter what their ability is actually. And it's a place that takes away the social barriers and gives parents an opportunity too to participate, because lots of parents of children that have disabilities, they don't always feel like they're a part of something. And sometimes when they go to these places, go to parks, there's not a chance for them, and for their kids to participate. So they're kind of on the sidelines too. So I started talking to Keith a little bit, and I said, Keith, wouldn't it be great if we had an inclusive park in Pasco County? And he says, "It's funny you say that, Commissioner." He goes, "That's something I've been thinking about, because I think one of the projects you're going to talk about in the future is having camps for kids that have disabilities too. And with the new rec center that's going in at Wesley Chapel District Park, it's perfect timing." So it's like, well, how are we going to pay for this? And reached out to some of our community partners, some that are out here today. first of all, our Wesley Chapel Rotary, which is here. And Rotary that I was a member of. I think I'm honorary now, just because I can't be there every Wednesday. But I presented this.
They won't let me go back.
They won't let you go back, huh? So I approached them with this concept and did a presentation and to their board, and they met with their membership, and they decided they'd participate. And we'll get to a little bit more on that in a little while. Also reached out to Advent Health, Wesley Chapel, and to Lennar, their foundation, and they've all agreed to participate. So when we think about community, it's not just always government doing things. It's the community coming together and doing something for the betterment of all our kids, and in this case, our children. So I'm excited about it, and I want to bring Keith up because he's going to show you a little presentation and a rendering of what we're going to be doing there. But again, I was thinking about this other day, and I don't know how many years I'll be on this commission. It could be 2 more years, it could be 10 more years. I'm really not sure, but I think after this project is done, is complete, and if I could rank it in the top few things I think this commission's done, we complete this will rank as one of those top things that we've ever done. So I'm excited about it, and I hope you are too. So I'm going to pass it up to Keith for a minute.
Yeah, welcome, Keith.
Good morning, Keith Wiley, Director of Parks, Recreation, Natural Resources. Thank you, Commissioner Moore. It was a strange coincidence. We through the summer camp program, the team basically realized that there was a need for a special needs summer camp, and so we were trying to think, well, if we had a special needs summer camp, where would those children go? And then I got the phone call, and it was just an amazing coincidence. I think I was supposed to cover the why and the what, but Commissioner Moore, you did a great job on the why.
There's more.
Maybe you should do all my presentations in the future. So just to touch on briefly what Commissioner Moore stated, out of 1,000 children, about 85 of them have some form of disability, whether that's sensory, physical, cognitive, communication, social, or emotional. And again, as a department that has a mission of providing a balance of athletic, cultural, and recreational opportunities, we want to make sure that we're providing them for every citizen in the community. When we started to do our research before that call, we started to realize that we didn't actually have this. The closest one, I think, to at least central Pasco is about 25 miles away. So we absolutely believe that, next slide, please. We absolutely believe that this is something that we needed to do. And again, with the timing of the new recreation complex, it's perfect. So I'm not going to really try to describe all the designs, but this video through Game Time does a really, really good job of emphasizing, what principles go into a design of a universally inclusive playground. So if you can go ahead and play this. I think it's just a few minutes. We have sound. It'll be difficult for me to narrate the entire video, but all right, well, if we can't get sound, I'll try to cover the basic principles. So the county replaces and obviously maintains a lot of playgrounds throughout the county, and they have ADA accessibility, but what they don't have is a very, very specific design just for children that have, or adults that may actually have these disabilities. So the focus of this design specifically, why don't we just go right to the PDF that I sent you? That'll be easier. The focus is really to just have an amenity that. So there you go. So basically, this amenity touches on all of the disabilities in that initial slide that I showed. So you have sensory, you have auditory, you have wheelchair-based accessibility. The actual, this is just a concept. The design is actually still in the works, but this is something that we would see. It's going to be next to the existing playground at Wesley Chapel District Park, so there's some synergy in that location of the park that'll be fantastic. But the bottom line is it'll be a space specifically for special needs children in the community, and we're very excited to have this opportunity. And it's really an outstanding example of what Commissioner Moore said. the opportunity to partner with our community leaders as well. So, thank you.
Thanks, Keith. Can I just?
Yeah.
So, thanks, Keith. And I think if you look at this design, again, it's conceptual, but this gives a good idea of pieces of equipment. You can't see everything in the back. There's a piece of equipment in the back there where children, if they're in a wheelchair or a walker, it makes it easy for them to get up and down. There's a ramp there for them too, but there's things for all kids, no matter what their disability may be. If you look to the left there too, there's actually a butterfly garden. And so you think about there's some children that just cannot get out of a wheelchair and they may be paraplegics or something, they just can't participate. So with the butterfly garden, and the Wesley Chapel Rotary has been kind enough to participate in that too, and that's going to be one of their ongoing service projects where they'll constantly keep that up and maintain that for us, which we really appreciate them doing. But again, we want to make sure every child, no matter what the situation is able to go to this park and participate. And you may look at it and go, well, maybe there should be more equipment. No, really there shouldn't be, because kids need the ability to get around. So what you don't want to have is equipment too close together. If everything's too close together, they're not going to be able to function. So this gives the opportunity, especially for children, whether they're in a manual or electric wheelchair, to go from spot to spot. And then, we want to make sure the parents or family members or caretakers are comfortable too, so you can see covers over the bench areas for those adults. And again, like Keith also mentioned, it's going to be right next to the other playground. Again, we want to make sure all kids are participating. So there'll be times when, all kids can participate in this park too, our playground, but right next to it will be the other playground that's currently there. So you may have some older kids that a family may have, 2 or 3 kids, and they can just walk 5 steps and go to some of those other pieces of equipment that are already on our other playground there. I think Commissioner Starkey had something before I move on.
Well, I was just going to say, years ago when I was chair of the All Children's Hospital Guild, and we had All Children's in downtown Newport Richey, the first one ever first outreach center where kids could go get follow-up treatment from their doctors. We took it upon ourselves to raise money, private funds, and put one of these in the park, in Sims Park across the street.
That's great, yeah.
And it was right across from the clinic. So when the
Perfect.
families went to the doctor, then they could go across the street and
Awesome.
play in the park. I don't know if when they redid Sims Park, if that moved, but I can tell you it did fill a wonderful need in the community, and it was really fulfilling to see the families using it. So I think this is a great idea, and I don't know if it's in our rules or whatever, Keith, that I think there should be at least 1 or 2 pieces of equipment like this in every park we do. But you mentioned a summer camp, so summer camp is more than playing on this equipment. So do you have other ideas besides just the playground? Which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, we're actually in the process. Well, so it's in the proposed budget for 20. So once that's approved, and then we'll start the planning process. Yeah, there'll be obviously more things than just a trip to the playground for sure.
And I know we have tight budgetary demands on our parks' capital expenditures, but I just want to say again, Florida, it's hot in Florida, and I'm looking at these benches, and I know this is conceptual.
Correct.
But if you look where the shade is, it isn't even on the bench.
No,
So
it's over it.
You're sitting here, but the shade's over there.
Well,
So
they'll fix
it would
this.
be wonderful if we could find a way to do what I've seen other communities do. I saw a great one down in Weston where they shade the park with the big canopies. And sometimes this metal is so hot to touch, you can't use it. So if we could get to a place where we could shade our playgrounds and make them usable, more usable, I would really like that.
Point taken.
Very good.
But thank you and your
It's also good to be outdoors, you know.
private folks for stepping
Thank you.
up to help with this.
Thank you. And in a second, I want to bring some folks up. But again, this wouldn't be possible, obviously, without our community partners. And, and I want to thank each and every one of you from the, obviously, bottom of my heart. And I know our fellow commissioners and everybody in the audience and the community is very thankful, too. So we have a couple actual check presentations today. So let me go with, I'm going to come down and get on that mic for a second, and if you don't mind, and bring them up. And then if that's okay, in a few minutes, we'll all come down and take a picture,
Yeah.
too.
Nice.
If that's all right?
That'll work.
All right. So I'm going to
All right.
make my way down here.
Western Chapel Rotary's done Wesley Chapel Rotary's done a great job over the years, so they're
You
great.
want, you want to go up on my seat? Take it. You get all the headaches that comes with it, man. Just kidding. Okay, so again, I mentioned that. Actually, let me grab my sheet real quick. I apologize. I know somebody else is here. Okay.
You got everybody's name?
Well, there was a substitute from one group. So I had to make sure I had the right person. So Wesley Chapel Rotary, again, like I mentioned before, I had reached out and did a presentation to the Wesley Chapel Rotary, and they have a fund. And coincidentally, with Dane Pearl over here, and some other folks, I remember I was on that board that helped start that fund a few years ago. And, and you know, we had many conversations throughout the years about some projects that could be done here. You wanted the Wesley Chapel area, obviously that's where you service. So I was so thankful when you agreed to participate in this, and you had some other additional great ideas. So I want to thank each and every one of you. So they are actually contributing $50,000, which that they've raised through a lot of their obviously fundraisers and things they do throughout the years. So today they're going to present us a check for $35,000. I'm going to move this way a little bit. So $35,000. And they're also having a fundraiser next month where they're going to raise another $5,000, and they have a grant. And I'm going to let you talk about that in a second. Chris or Eric, who's going to like speak for you? Okay, Eric, come up here real quick. Come on, you're on the spotlight. So let's not do the check presentation part yet, though. Just talk real quick about you obviously there's a grant through come up here. You're going to give your name and address for the record. Yeah, sure.
Do I speak this way? Or
Yes,
speak this way?
Go ahead and talk.
You speak
Okay, Eric Johnson, past president of the Rotary Club of Wesley Chapel. And yeah, as Mike said, years ago when I was president, Dane and Mike and I got together and we said, we had this vision. What if we could do this? What if we could raise money for a future project? And it's all coming to fruition right now. So we're very excited about this opportunity.
Good. So talk a little bit about, so we're going to present a check today for $35,000,
Yes.
but you also are having a grant from your Rotary National Foundation?
So our district, if you're familiar with Rotary, the district is divided up into 40 plus Rotary clubs throughout Pinellas, Pasco, Hernando, Citrus County. So the district is going to be giving $10,000 grant to match up to $10,000 of our $35,000. And then we'll have a fundraiser to raise the additional $5,000. So in total, $50,000 will be going to the playground project.
And since you're here, and this is on television, you can tell everybody where the fundraiser is.
Oh, yes. Where is that television? All right. So
all around.
August 16th, August 17th, Saturday, August 17th, we're doing a casino night fundraiser at Lexington Oaks Golf and Country Club in Wesley Chapel. Play money. Let's play money. But yes, we'd love to have you come out and support that. It's going to be a really good time. We'll have some hors d'oeuvres and a lot of water we'll be drinking that night. And the funds will be going towards this project.
Great. Thank you, Rick. If you don't mind, have a seat again.
Yes,
I'll
sir.
bring you back up in a second here. So also, Tyson Davis, Tyson, you're here. Tyson, come on up. So Tyson from Advent Health, Wesley Chapel, formerly Florida Hospital, Wesley Chapel. Right?
Definitely.
So Tyson, CFO, interim CEO for the hospital now, and him and his team have been gracious enough to contribute $25,000 to this project.
Great.
A few words you'd like to say to the board?
Yeah, just a couple quick words. So as Commissioner Moore mentioned, I'm the CFO and interim CEO at Advent Health Wesley Chapel. Been there 5 years and a part of the community. When we look at our brand promise is to feel whole. I can't think of a better way to apply that brand promise in our community than being a part of this project. So thank you. We're happy to be here.
Thank you so much. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And Lenore Holmes, Katie is here, Marcus is here. So hi, Katie. How are you? That's all I had to make sure I knew was. Good to see you. Thank you. So Lennar Homes, they have a foundation too. So what they're doing is they're going to contribute I'll let her say, they're going to do $50,000. It's going to go to the Rotary Fund, and the Rotary Fund is going to be giving that $50,000 to this project. So, do you have a few words?
Yes, great. We are very excited and grateful to be a part of this project, and we are excited to have it come to fruition.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all so very much. So I know we have a couple check presentations today we're going to go ahead and move forward with. So I think we want to bring we'll start with the Wesley Chapel Rotary. You have a big check that we can't cash. And then we're going to do this, so if I could bring the dais down, that'd be great. So, how are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Yep. So we'll get in here. No, we.
Last time I went to the meeting, I had to be your entertainment.
You think you can get it? You want to? Okay, we're gonna move back. We're gonna move back. Sorry, guys.
Move back.
Do you want to back up on the dais, Commissioner? Do you guys want to go? I mean, it's up to you guys. Do you want to go in the back, or you guys want to stay there? We're good here. Okay. Everybody get in here.
I'm on. I'm getting old. Yep.
There's a real check too that somebody has that'll need to go to the clerk. Yeah, we can't touch that. We don't want to limit the fiscal touch money. Everybody in? Thank you all so very, very much. Thank you all. Oh, yeah. You guys want to keep that, right? Thank you very much. All right, we got to keep moving for 1 sec. If you guys, hey, grab a seat, don't leave. So I'm going to bring Tyson up. Yes.
I didn't realize we were supposed to bring the whole team today.
So, I think so. We can just stand in the front this time. All right. So sweet. Everybody come on in back in. Yeah, we're gonna go in the front this time. What's that?
Real change.
We won't put that in front of the camera. Thank you so very much. And then, this goes to.
I'll take care of it.
Nick will take your money.
Oh, wait, one more.
We need two more. This will work out over here.
Yeah, it's just a.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
I got to be exclusive with Commissioner Wilson. All right. Perfect. Thank you.
And then, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. I really do.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all you're doing.
Yes.
Not for the rest of the capital, and they too.
Thank you all. And one more picture, guys, if you mind. Katie, yeah, come on in. Come on in. Oh. Yeah, hopefully it was kind of funny, so we had to laugh at it.
One more.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to come back. No, it doesn't. What? Just one last thing, then I'll be it. And then, so, thank you, commissioners, and thank you so much to the, obviously, Wesley Chapel Rotary, Lennar, and Advent Health, Wesley Chapel. And just within 60 days, we will be breaking ground. Keith's over there going, yeah, right? 60 days, we'll be breaking ground. Within 60 days, we'll be breaking ground. So we will have a groundbreaking ceremony. We will let everybody know well in advance so you can be there. But we will have a groundbreaking ceremony that everybody's going to participate in. And once this facility is built, we obviously want to recognize our partners. So our partners will be recognized at this actual location, and we'll discuss that and talk about that a little bit more later when we unveil that. So
Hopefully they'll all be there.
yeah, thank you. So we'll make sure we give plenty of notice that we can all make it. But again, thank you all so very much. So important to our community to have this playground. And I think Commissioner Stark even mentioned in the future, I'd love to see, after this one's done, we can in the future start looking at Central Pasco and West Pasco and keep it going.
We got our super park coming.
And the super park would be a great location too. You're right. So with that, I again thank everybody. I need a motion to approve the checks received. Do I need a motion to receive those?
To receive the money.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's,
Second, somebody.
I think
I got a motion and a
to
second.
allocate
All
that.
those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did somebody
Motion
second?
passed.
I kind of did, yeah.
Okay,
Second.
Commissioner Moore
Again, I
seconded.
We got
second.
it.
Well, excellent. Well, thank you all so very much again, and you guys can keep going, I'll be back. So. Just keep going with the theme.
Okay. We're going back to something you want to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
R4.
But how much more do you don't have anything else? Oh, thanks.
She didn't have much.
Well, they said that, so.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Rotary folks, don't leave. I'll be out there in a minute. Yeah.
So we just have two changes from our funding recommendations from July 9th. First happened at our July 9th meeting where One of our agencies declined their grant funds, so we're using that extra 50-something thousand to support the officer-friendly project. We also want to confirm that the following housing activities for the home partnership would include homeowner rehab, homebuyer activities, rental housing, and tenant-based rental assistance. There is no home template in your packet, so any projects with outside agencies that will be getting home funds will come before you. And then lastly, in response to Commissioner Moore, we are happy to go back to St. Leo and tell them that for their $2,500 of fair share money that they will need to do an eligible CDBG project and not a planning project with that. So those would be the recommended changes that we have.
Mr. Chairman, and that, I'm okay with that.
Okay, Mr. Moore. Anything else?
No, I'm good with that.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good. Anybody else?
You need to approve this.
Well,
Well-
more discussion first?
Yeah, more
Okay, go ahead.
Are you done with your presentation then?
Just the next steps would be asking for your approval to, for the 2019-2020 action plan and sign the associated certifications and the applications for federal assistance, and also asking you to delegate full authority to execute project-specific agreements pursuant to the action plan to the county administrator so that we can make sure that we get this all submitted by August 16th.
Mr. Chairman?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So would you discuss the shelter on Youth Lane, the costs that it's going to take to renovate that building and the cost to run that building as far as what those numbers are?
So we do have, we did invest in an engineering and architectural review and then went out to bid based on the specifications. And I believe it came in at $1.2 million for the renovations of the two buildings.
Okay. And board members, you know, I don't think the numbers are expected to be that high with it. It's a phenomenal amount of money to go renovate a building. That's only renovating one of the buildings. The other one's very, very little work to be done to it. I just don't think it's an efficient use of the money. I will say the property owners that own the mall beside and abutting it are interested in that property. They could actually put a group called Kids Kicking High in there to be a youth center like it was designed to be done. There was a letter or an email that was sent yesterday, I believe it was, to the board members that they are interested in it. Did everybody get to read that? From Judy Bergantino? They talked with they're interested in it. They'd like to do some due diligence and maybe come back to the board with an offer on that property. I will tell you, when I look at, let's say, NBC News that did the big story on Leisure Lane, where they have people out there destroying the neighborhood, and I just think we could do a lot better building some homes through Habitat, improving that neighborhood, which needs infrastructure. It's all on septic right now. The project that was quoted by U.S. Waterworks, I think, was about 1.2 or 1.5 million, depending if you count impact fees in there or not. I think it'd be a much better use of money. When I look at people like Metropolitan Ministries that are struggling for people to get out of Metropolitan Ministries housing into affordable housing, I think it'd just be a much better way to take a look at it. I know we have to approve this today, but I think it's something we should go look at and explore a little bit deeper before we sign any contracts to go spend this money when we think there could be opportunities to do something a lot more efficient with the money.
You're okay with approving this today?
We have to approve it today.
Yep, okay. So move for approval.
Second. We got a
Well-
motion and a
Well,
second.
I wanted to talk about this still. So in the project for Leisure Lane, not Leisure Lane, the Navigation Center, will there be a contract with them, or have we already done that, or where are we in that? Because I met with some folks who live in the area, and they brought some concerns to me, and they sent me the clip of the news folks that went out there, and there were apparently some people living on the property. I went out there and checked, and the property was spotless, and there was nobody living there. But I have pledged to the neighbors who live across the street that that it is not going to be a facility that's similar to Leisure Lane. I mean, this is for families, and it's for multiple families. How many families do you expect to service in a year?
I think there's going to 15, 30.
So, you know, we could buy 10 houses, or we could help 30 families get on their feet and go out and get into 30 houses a year over and over and over again, rather than 10, you know, maybe even 7 families in one house once. So I like the idea of helping these families. I hope that we run out of families to help, and then we have to repurpose that for something else. I mean, that would be our goal. But I do want to reassure the community that there will be no loitering in that area. I looked at the fencing around it, and it's cut in many places, so I don't think the kind of fence around there is, I think we need to look at a different kind of fence, maybe the metal kind that you can't cut. And I want to make sure that the folks running the operation don't allow anyone, it needs to be explicit in the contract, no camping, no living, you know, the only ones to be staying there are the ones in the facility, and we are not handing anything out at this facility. So we need to be sure that there will be no loitering in the area, and we have to be vigilant on making sure that happens. So that is what I'm asking.
Commissioner, and I don't disagree. We discussed that in length as a board. I know they have expectations. We listen to the residents. You know, the same residents you're talking to have voiced their concerns and have flipped several, and that are in favor now. That some of the concerns, like the folks in the corner had with Walmart and everything, we addressed their concerns. So I agree with you, but that's all in writing with the agreement to hold them accountable.
You know, I asked, and they said this it isn't explicit that it says about the camping. So I just want that to be, you know, I just want to go through that contract again, make sure about that, and then have a discussion on the type of fencing and the way we're going to secure that property so we don't have that happening.
Mr. Mariano.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I met with Don Anderson just the other day, and we talked about, he showed me the numbers, he showed me the bid, and I just was astounded at, it just takes a lot of money to renovate that building, to get it to what we're doing. Is it about 14 rooms that are there, or how many rooms are in that place that where residents can actually stay?
Well, they're renovating it, so
How many rooms are going to be in those buildings around the perimeter where families can stay? How many rooms are there?
Do they have a plan? Sure.
9.
That's what.
Okay, so your number of 30 is a little bit overstated. And some of those rooms interconnect, so if there's bigger families, they're going to be sharing rooms that interconnect between the two of them for access.
But isn't
So
that 30 over a year?
Right.
Isn't that over a year? So they'll be coming in
And moving out into
moving out.
property houses.
Depending how long they stay. So
Yeah.
what I would say is, I really think to go spend 1.2 million, should be fully versed and clear to what exactly is going to go on there. I know we have to approve this today, so we don't lose the money.
Right.
But granted, at $1.2 million, which is way over what the anticipated budget was for what we're getting it out of there, and I will say the citizens I've talked to still don't like it, and the businesses don't like it, but they were trying to, minimize their best effect. And now that we've got a group out there that would like to look at it, maybe they'll offer enough money to make it make sense to it to do something different. I think we should just take a look at all options before we finally pull the trigger. I'll support this if we'll bring this back for discussion later.
Chairman, I mean, we spent
We've
a
discussed
year and a
that.
half discussing this. It's for the homeless families. We all agreed on that except for you, and for us to go relook at this doesn't make sense. We need to get these families in there and help them and get them back on their feet, period. So,
Mr. Chairman.
1.2 million, it's a lot higher than it was.
well, and that doesn't mean they're going to spend the 1.2 million, but that's what we're approving, and hopefully it comes in lower in budget. Hopefully they get the community involved.
We're approving the recommendation is 700,000. That's what's in the grant.
Mr. Chairman?
Ms. Stark.
As you know, I sit on a committee at NACO that's Community, Economic Development, and Workforce. And we went to tour a facility, and I'm going to talk about it in my commissioner's items. And I was hoping I'd get to it this morning. I don't know if you're going to stay and be here this afternoon. And I'm going to ask staff to put it up on the screen. But, you know, I think this facility is a first step. I certainly think we need to do more. And there are grant opportunities to do more, and I'm going to show you one that was in Las Vegas. And so, so this is just the beginning. And like I said, I hope that we run out of these kind of families to serve. That would be fantastic. So with that, I'm going to move approval of the.
Well, we already have a motion.
Oh, we do? Okay.
We already have a motion and a second.
Yep.
Right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, like sign?
Nay.
Okay. So you've got 3-1 and motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't guess we have enough time actually for our three.
We wouldn't be able to do it in 3 minutes or
Yeah.
6
Okay.
minutes or whatever you have.
All right. So
Is Keith still here?
I think he
Don't
steps
think so.
outside with
He's
the
probably
group.
stepped
He's
outside.
outside with the Rotary group. so.
Okay, because I wanted to talk to him about Mitchell Field.
So before going into old business, we're right here at 12 o'clock, so we'll break for lunch and we'll come back at 1:30 for a public hearing.
Mr. Chairman,
Excuse me?
just before we break, I did have staff put a copy of some dredging information. If you get
Oh,
a chance to read it before you open back up later on, I'll bring it up in the committee reports.
Oh, okay, that'd be good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.